I'd like to call to order the November 10th, 2015 meeting of the Millcreek Township Board of Supervisors. We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications? Hearing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes. We have before us the October 27th, 2015 meeting minutes. If there's no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
I so move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have approval of bills. We have before us the township bills of November 3rd and November 10th, and the sewer revenue bills of November 9th. If there's no additions or corrections to the bills, entertain a motion.
I'll move we pay the bills.
And I will second.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have a public hearing on a petition requesting a change in zoning classification for Robert W. and Elsie E. Sessler for the northerly approximately 3.65 acres of property located at 4042 West Ridge Road, now Zone C2, General Commercial District, asking for a change in classification to R4, High Density Residential District. Chuck?
Yes, the Planning Commission heard this petition and recommended denial because of did not meet the Township Comprehensive Plan and was considered spot zoning.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here today to speak in favor of the rezoning? Okay, is there anybody, you're in favor of it? Okay. Would you like to come up and address the board? If you give us your name and address, please.
Okay. Sir, before you speak there, Chuck, was there a comment from county planning on this? Did they respond yet?
Yes, but it was roughly the same as ours.
Same
Correct.
verbiage there then?
Correct.
They recommended denial. Okay. Thank you.
My name is Robert Sessler. I live at 3030 Loveland Avenue, Erie, PA 16506. In reference to spot zoning, we understand that spot zoning refers to where the use is only for personal use of the individual, and it goes against the ordinance that's maybe been established. There was an ordinance that was set up back in June 30th, 1988, and which was TEFRA, which was the Tax Rehabilitation Tax Recovery Act on that particular property, which mentions in Section 1 that it was deteriorated, that there was, because of deterioration of commercial property, which was industrial, commercial, including vacant land owned by individuals, associations, corporations located in the interior area. It was provided that there was an incentive to encourage development of this property in that regard. However, this was done almost 30 years ago. So when I look at that property, see, our proposal is just to would keep the front part of the property, which has about 75 foot of frontage, still commercial, but change the back property to 3.6 because it's landlocked. The property in the back has no access, and right on the west side you've got residential. The back parcel's got light industry, and then you got the commercial. So we're kind of confused about what, I mean, you've got three different zonings involved in this property around it. And it's two surrounding different zonings, and then also the commercial zoning. That's already there. The trend for commercial zoning is changing. In other words, we feel that nobody was going to want to develop that property commercially because, number one, there's no frontage. Number two, because when the property was zoned commercial originally, it was a consideration of the front parcel, which has a 35-foot square house on it. And the back property was just included in that commercial zoning without any indication of whether or not that property could be developed. So our proposal is to put a $1.6 million project in there. And the reason why we think it's not just for my own personal use, but it's for public use, is because we see a trend of an aging market in Millcreek, where in other words, there's 10,000 retired people retiring every year in the United States, 10,000. We have a tremendous amount of individuals that are retiring every year. These individuals don't want maintenance. And Millcreek is starting to age. It's you know, there's not, what's going to happen is you're going to find that more and more people want apartments because they want to downsize from their houses. They want less maintenance. We're seeing that trend. We're also seeing professionals come into the area. LECOM, we have apartments up in Grandview where we're seeing LECOM students coming in. So we're seeing a need for modern housing. And Millcreek is aging. And so then when you look at, my understanding is keeping it as a commercial corridor or industrial corridor, I've got an article that's dated today, November 10th, 2015. This is Pat Cuneo. And he's saying that, he's mentioning the GE layoffs that test workers in the community. Surprise, no anger, some heartache, absolutely. A huge number of blue-collar layoffs planned at GE Transportation. 1,500 is a staggering number, representing nearly half of the 3,200 blue-collar workforce. And that's just the beginning. A ripple effect will no doubt include white-collar layoffs, job cuts, outside suppliers. And they figured that through the Erie Regional Chamber of Growth Partnership estimates that more than 10,000 jobs are going to be affected. And so the idea of keeping this as an industrial area when you've got layoffs of 10,000 people, and you're going to continue to keep that property zoned in that area, when you have a need for transit housing. I put 84 storage units up here right across from the property we have, and we see that transit thinking. So it's constantly filled. So we're seeing the idea that as people age, they're going to leave their houses. So as a community starts to evolve in more of a transit society, we think that apartments is a good idea in that area, in that particular property. You're going to increase the value of that property. Right now, I will tell you, after 30 years, I'll be gone. We'll all be dead. We're going to be all deceased, and that property will still sit there vacant. And if you think that that property is going to be industrially developed or commercially, we're in the dream world. Nobody's going to develop that property commercially with no frontage, and with stormwater management and the amount of square footage you have to build that building with parking. It's just economically not feasible. So the idea of the revitalization was a good idea, and I agree that that to encourage tax relief was great, but the only problem is economically, tax relief isn't enough. You've got to have a reason to build on the property. You have to have a reason why it's economically feasible to build a commercial building on that property, and even a factory. Especially when you have layoffs of 10,000, and then you've got Zurn that just laid off, you've got Lords that's gone. You know, it's going to continue. But what we're seeing, though, and the positive is we're seeing professionals, young professionals coming in that don't want to commit themselves to a house. They want transit living. They want to be able to, they want modern housing without any maintenance. This is the new generation. They don't want to have a house like we were when my father we lived in the same house for 30 years. Those days are over. So I'm submitting to you a proposal for the future. And now if you deny this, if you say, well, this is spot zoning, and you deny this property, you'll look back and say, geez, we wish we would have had more apartments in Millcreek, and now we don't have them. Because guys like me are gone. So I also want you to know, too, that retired people spend almost 49 hours a day watching television. 49 hours. That's how much they spend watching TV. They're not going to have time fixing up their houses when they want to watch TV. So they want apartments that are modern and efficient and want somebody else to take care of their problems for them. And that's what we're proposing to you. So, the idea of spot zoning, your plan, which was created 30 years ago, is archaic. You've got to think of the future. And you got, I've done quite a few developments in Millcreek, and each one of them has been seeing a problem and solving it for you. I did that with the Farmer Mac property by building storage units. Took a property that was defunct. This property is defunct. It's basically defunct. It's sitting in an area that has no possible way of developing if you continue with the way it's sitting right now. We've taken properties up in Upper Millcreek that was in bad shape and put duplexes on those properties and revitalized those areas. Right now, we're dealing with an 8-unit townhouse up on Grandview. We're restoring that property, bringing it back. We bought it from an absentee landlord that the property just was deteriorated. Rents were going down. Nobody paying rent. And now we're getting LECOM students in there. We're getting professionals in there. I mean, I'm telling you, we can make this look a lot better than it is, and I feel that we can help that situation. So I'm proposing to you to look not just what it is now, but look at what's going on to happen in the future. So I rest my case. I hope you'll consider what we do. I'm just telling you, Edinburgh and McCain is embracing this. And what's going to happen is if you don't allow apartments to be in these areas, they're going to go to McCain, they're going to go to Edinburgh, they're going to go somewhere else because they're looking for new housing.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Is there any questions from the board?
I'm not sure I really have questions, just comments, and I'm not going to be argumentative with you, Mr. Sessler, but I will disagree with some of the comments that you made there. Of course, the GE matter, that is something that is going to have a trickle-down effect on our economy here totally. Will it cause people to move away from Erie? There's a possibility. I don't know. I'm not that well-versed at how that is going to happen in housing trends. I do know this. We have apartment projects going on right now. The hammocks, Chuck, how many more buildings are going to be built at the hammocks on Zook Road?
Probably 5 or 6 more.
Right. Now, that's just one parcel right there. I'm not sure if there is that much of a need.
Oh, yes.
But, you're the one that's a professional.
Well, hammocks, their units are already rented. They have a waiting list already on them.
Yeah, I just, I'm looking at the fact
do you
of...
think I'd be spending $1.6 million on a project if we didn't think it was in demand?
Well, that would be your choice to do that,
No, but
sir.
I'm just as an argument to you.
Right, I understand your point there. But I'm also looking at the zoning ordinance. I look at, first of all, the reasons, and it wasn't just Millcreek Planning Department or Planning Commission that looked at it and recommended no. The county planning department looked at it and said they don't recommend that it be rezoned because of the fact that it's in contrary to the comprehensive plan, and also it constitutes spot zoning.
Well,
So
what is the planning, what is the plan? I mean, what is the plan that you have in fact for the property? I mean,
what you see right there on the rezoning or the zoning of the property, which is currently C2, that is what they recommend it remain as.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that are you taking into consideration the hardship situation of that lot, being that it's not?
I'm not looking at hardship. Remember, when it comes to rezonings, hardships are not the issue. Okay? It only has to do with the land use itself. Hardships are something more in being granted variances through the zoning hearing board. That's not the issue right here.
Well, okay. So my question to you is then, if it's not a matter about hardship, then you're looking at it just because it's zoned not according to what your plan is, but maybe your plan should take into consideration of the hardship.
That's generally not what comprehensive plans do. They
Well,
look
that
at
may be a
land
problem
uses.
then, yeah.
Keep in mind, what's in that area there.
Well, then, that's the argument then, when we did the storage units over there, that was zoned, we got a light industry in there, and that was accepted. So I'm just kind of curious. Now, I guess my point is it possible would you consider a variance on this property?
Well, that's not for us to do. a variance on that, no, that is a function of the zoning hearing board. And I highly doubt that that would happen, sir,
Why?
because you're talking a use variance. That's what you're talking
Well,
there.
then we're back to your, you know,
Yeah,
your-
a use variance is something that's an odd duck,
Well,
and more than likely, we would fight it. I'm going to tell you
Well,
that.
I'm just saying, why would you fight a proposal that's going to make this property more valuable than it is? I just don't,
Okay.
yeah, I just don't
Well,
understand.
I think that I have, brought up some points there, and I don't mean to be argumentative
No,
with
I
you, sir.
haven't since then. So,
We've approved several other properties in that area. But like I say, they've all been either commercial or industrial.
All right,
Okay.
Mr. Sessler, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the rezoning? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the rezoning? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion on the rezoning from the board?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to deny the request to rezone that parcel of property.
And I'm going to second it with the comment, one more comment, that Mr. Sessler, we appreciate your willingness to develop in Millcreek, and we hope that that continues. I personally, and I think John feels the same way, that we just don't feel that this is a proper use of that land.
And I will agree with that there, Brian, thank you. Yep, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Groh,
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to announcement of bids and quotations received. We have four of them. The first is Titan Power Tech paint sprayer. Mr. McGrath?
Jerry Berger, our building maintenance foreman, informs us that he has plans to do quite a bit of painting next year in 2016, and would like to purchase a paint sprayer for the building maintenance department, and he obtained 3 quotes. The first was from Sherwin-Williams for $3,999. The second was from the paintstore.com, $4,495, and the third one was from Quote Paint Sprayers, $5,250, and it's Jerry's recommendation that we purchase the item from Sherwin-Williams for $3,999, and I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is the, well, we have four of them. Brian, you're going to take all of them. Go ahead.
Next is along the same line with Jerry's plans to do significant amount of painting inside the building next year. He would like to purchase a air filtration machine, an Omnitech 08000B air machine, and this would enable the building maintenance department to go ahead and paint while the building was occupied, and it purifies the air so you don't have the paint fumes. Obtained a quote from Hirel Equipment, $1,335. I believe the next one is Spycore. For $1,430, and the final one was from Granger for $2,039, and it's Jerry's recommendation that we purchase it from Hirel Equipment for $1,335, and I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that one, too.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
From the Streets Department, as much as we hate to think about it, we're getting very close to winter, and we are going to be needing some anti-skid material that we mix with our salt. And quotes were obtained from ACA Sand and Gravel for $14.25 per ton delivered. Frank Tucci for $11.10 per ton. And from IA Construction for $19.75 per ton to our Old French Road facility, and $22 per ton for here at the municipal building. It is Gary Walters' recommendation that we purchase the material from Tucci Incorporated for $11.10 per ton, although he does make the caveat that Tucci said that as the winter progresses, there is the possibility that they would run out of material. We're going to try to avoid that by stockpiling it early, but Gary would also recommend that we be able to purchase from ACA Sand and Gravel should Tucci run out, which, Evan, I don't think that that's anything out of the ordinary, right?
You might have to, or you might want to just stock up yourself.
Well, we're going to do that, right? So I would move that Tucci be awarded that contract. Again, let the minutes show that ACA Sand and Gravel is the next lowest bidder, should we run into an issue.
Yep. Okay, I'll second that with those conditions on that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And finally, from our Parks Department, they would like to purchase a lift gate for one of the maintenance trucks. Quotes were received from Zaresco Equipment. This is through the Westmoreland County Council of Governments for $3,381. U.S. Municipal would be $2,276. And Garnin, I believe that's Garnin Thiemann for $3,345. All of those are installed prices, and it's Bill Hitchcock's recommendation that the purchase be made from U.S. Municipal for $2,276, and I'll move approval of that.
Okay, that's the total price on that, Brian?
That's the total with
Okay.
installation.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, moving on, we have ordinance number 2015-13. An ordinance of the Township of Millcreek, Erie County, Pennsylvania, to amend Section 2 of Ordinance Number 64, enacted on September 6, 1966, and entitled An Ordinance Designating Certain Street Intersections in the Township of Millcreek as Stop or Yield Intersections, requiring traffic to come to a stop or yield before entering said intersection, and marking the same as herein set forth, and confirming authorization of stop signs installed at 101 intersections in the township, at which stop and through streets are defined in this ordinance, and to be enforced. Also providing for the erection of stop signs at said intersections for enforcement of such regulations and imposition of penalties for violation of this ordinance and for severability and repealer.
Wow.
Now would you like to read all the...
Now, I'm just glad that when Mr. Adair wrote this, I don't have to go and read the 101 intersections. Those will be available for those who have nothing else to do today and can take a look at it. Basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, a number of years ago, stop signs, you called and you wanted a stop sign, and we put one up. Well, the state came along and said, you know, you really can't do that. You need to have a study done of the intersection to make sure it conforms to traffic parameters in order to put a stop sign there. So what we had to do was eliminate a number of those stop signs as something that weren't needed. And basically, I think this ordinance just says that we will install stop signs. They have to conform to certain parameters when installing, and that we have confirmed that 101 intersections in the township do meet the regulations as provided by the state.
Well, it's not quite it. There are actually many, many more that meet the requirements of the state. There are two main categories for these, and this is a codification-related ordinance. And by that I mean, you know, we're going to have a code of ordinances, and it's easier to bring everything up to speed in one ordinance than 27. First of all, when the current vehicle code was passed in the 1970s, it made legal all the stop signs that were in existence. A certain number of those on this list were there in 1976. We don't necessarily have an ordinance for them because we didn't need one, but to most people, 1976 is like when dinosaurs drove the earth and everything, even if it wasn't for like me. But at the same time, this at least makes it official so that 20 years from now, people aren't going to have to worry about where's the ordinance allowing those. The second biggest category, and it's something we're going to have to work on, is that in more recent years, Millcreek has required that developers of residential subdivisions do traffic studies and install stop signs where stop signs are called for under state guidelines. We then accept the streets. We really never put into practice a way of saying, oh, by the way, here are the stop signs on those streets that we just accepted that we need to include. So I'll talk to Rick, but we may want to do that on an annual basis looking forward based on streets that we accept in a year, and the stop signs on those streets that we accept, so that we just keep it playing forward a bit. But that's really, we're trying to make sure that there's ratification, but the two main categories here are thoroughly legal, the pre-1978 ones and the ones that have been done according to regulations in recent years. We just didn't follow up with ordinances on it.
Okay, is there any questions from the board?
I'll move approval of ordinance 2015-13.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is Resolution 2015-R-23, a resolution approving the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice and the Millcreek Township Fair Housing Plan. Mr. McGrath?
As part of the community development block grant monies that we received from HUD, we are required to have a 5-year consolidated plan, which we do. Our current plan goes from 2013 to 2017. Included in that plan is a statement that one of the primary objectives is to principally benefit persons of low to moderate income. And in keeping with that, we are required to approve the regional analysis of impediments to the fair housing choice, and that's part of the HUD regulations, and it also is incorporated in our current 5-year plan. This resolution addresses the acceptance of that analysis. And I'll move approval of Resolution 2015-R-23.
Okay, I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is Resolution 2015-R-24, a resolution of the Township of Millcreek consenting to transfer of control of the cable franchisee from Time Warner Incorporated to Charter Communications Incorporated. Those that have been coming here for a while know this is deja vu. When we started our cable franchise negotiations a number of years ago with Time Warner, we reached a point where Time Warner was now going to sell to Comcast. In order for them to do that, Comcast had to get approval from the Department of Justice, from the Congress, and from the FCC, along with the fact that they had to get the approval of individual municipalities who were serviced by Time Warner at the time. The Time Warner Comcast deal fell through. Ultimately, what happened was Charter Communications wished to buy Time Warner. So this form resurrected again, this approval. The approval again has to be done by all the entities that I mentioned to you. It's a form called the FCC Form 394. And basically what it's doing, it's giving the township's consent for this purchase to go forward. It's the recommendation of our legal advisors in this, that would be the Cohen Law Firm out of Pittsburgh, that we enact the Form 394 giving our consent, and I would move approval.
I'll second that.
Okay. Yeah. I was a bit hesitant. I just get a little irritated when I think about Time Warner and stuff like that. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'll third it, I guess.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is the municipal stormwater management application. Mr. Morris?
Local organization Environment Erie has offered a program that was created to assist municipalities with the exploration of creating revenue streams for flood abatement. An MOU would be created between the municipality, Millcreek Township, and Environment Erie. The municipality would either work in-house to develop a feasibility study for creating revenue or engage a consulting firm to complete a feasibility study. The study would include 3 phases. The first would be planning, It would include a review of current and future stormwater needs for both physical construction as well as compliance. Cost estimates would be provided and determined for meeting the future and long-term needs. Phase 2 would include rate and administration reports. That would include the development of a rate system and program structure for the type of revenue generation determined by the township as a best fit. And the third and final phase would include the implementation plan, the timeline, and specific tasks for implementing the revenue stream as identified and outlined. Environmental Erie has funding for such a process that can be contributed to projects that include 4 components in the process. And those are: 1, public involvement in education; 2, credit programs for green infrastructure; 3, plans meeting long-term stormwater needs that would include the development of rain gardens, bioinfiltration, and other similar stormwater best management practices that provide water quality benefits; 4th and last, the municipality's commitment to implementing a stormwater program. Environment Erie would provide 4 items. 1, funding reimbursement for eligible expenses up to 50% of the costs, but not to exceed $54,000. 2, professional services to assist throughout the process. 3, educational workshops for the municipal officials as well as the public. And 4, coordination of public involvement. We've been looking for a long time to look for funding and other avenues that may be available at the federal, state, or even local levels. We've been unable to come up with those funds to provide funding to alleviate a lot of these flooding problems. So I recommend that the chairman of the Board of Supervisors be authorized to sign an MOU with Environment Erie and an application for the program.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
So, Rick, what this is, we had the presentation a couple weeks ago from Environment Erie.
Correct.
And what this amounts to is the township's willingness to pursue this grant. Whether or not, we're not doing anything as far as any kind of stormwater fees or anything, at least not yet, but we are looking at a grant that would study the situation.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
No?
Is there a motion from the board?
Yeah, I so moved that we authorize the chairman to complete this application for grant through the Environment Erie.
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is the Earthlink business proposal. Mr. Groh?
Yes. This Earthlink proposal is for an update to our internet program that would allow the phone system that we have purchased earlier this year to be installed. The cost for this proposal is recommended by our IT department here too, $1,314.28 for the updates to that through Earthlink. And it is vital so that we can get the phone system working, the new phone system that is. So I make a motion that we approve that app.
I'll second.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is a stormwater maintenance agreement request. Mr. Morris?
This is a request by the Plastic Group Trucking and Distribution Facility just east of Zook Road on the south side of Grandview. Everything has been completed satisfactorily for the stormwater management maintenance agreement. The developer is responsible for the maintenance as well as the ownership of it, and we recommend approval of the agreement.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
One for me.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that stormwater maintenance agreement with Plastec.
I'll second it.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is a financial security reduction request. This is for the Erie Runway 624 extension. Mr. Morris?
Township still is withholding $368,905.90 by Erie Bank check number 4520 for the completion of various improvements. Those improvements have not been totally completed, so it's our recommendation that we deny the request for release because there is a punch list that is not yet complete and the township has not received a reasonable conformity letter from Hill Engineering regarding the stormwater management facilities.
Questions from the board?
This is the stormwater management facilities, the old Riviera Estates FDB and then their new FDB?
Correct.
Okay. And what we refer to as the north ditch running over to Marshall Run?
A little bit. That's mainly maintained by us.
Okay.
Okay.
Is any of this money, is the traffic signal at 12th and Marshall included in this?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it
Well, obviously that's not done yet.
is. No, but we're working toward that goal.
Okay. Well, we can act on this and then I'll bring up that subject if I could, just shortly after we act on this.
Okay.
I'll move denial of the request for
Yeah.
the security reduction.
And I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grill?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
But while we're on the subject of Marshall Drive, a press release actually went out yesterday saying that we were going to be closing Marshall and Powell on Thursday, day after tomorrow, for paving. I think that in exchange of emails with the contractor this morning, I think that we are going to still wish to close Powell Avenue south of 12th Street, Marshall Drive south of 12th Street, Powell Avenue to get it closer to 26th Street, closer to through traffic because there will be a considerable amount of work going on at that intersection. We'd like to try to limit the traffic on Marshall at that intersection on Thursday. The paving, from what we understand now, won't actually take place until Monday. The forecast for Friday is bad. So we're going to just forget trying to pave on Friday and try to do it on Monday. So that road will again be closed to through traffic from 26th Street to 12th Street all day on Monday for paving. And hopefully that will wrap that up. And then maybe we can entertain this request again in the not too distant future.
Yes, and we are meeting with airport officials on Thursday afternoon to go through the punch list that Clay Fales from Hill Engineering has on stormwater and I have on the roadway.
Okay, one more thing while we're on the subject, Rick, I see that that request included reimbursement for the design of the widening at 12th and Marshall. I know that that was our request. It was our request that the turn lane, the dedicated turn lane, be installed, and we're doing the work. We're responsible for the work, and we understand that. But did the original agreement also say that we were responsible for the design of that?
I've got to check that to be sure, but I do not remember that that was an item that we would be willing to pay for.
That's a pretty significant number, over $20,000 for the design of the turn lane, and I don't remember that being part of the conversation, but we should check before we proceed.
Yeah. Good point. Okay.
Okay. Proposed sale of property from county repository for unsold properties. Evan?
I haven't seen this, but I assume that it's another county special for a mobile home or two.
Yes.
Yes.
And again, they're doing this rather than collectively once or twice a year, they're doing it quite often. Someone in the assessment office has figured out that the mobile home or mobile homes on the list that is not in front of me, because I gave it back to Cheryl, are deteriorated to the point of having no value. And so by exonerating prior year taxes, it becomes legal to remove the mobile homes from wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's no questions from the board, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we allow the proposed sale of that property mentioned in this memo.
I'll second that.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is contract renewal with National Fuel Resources. Mark?
Yes. I met with Bob Tullio from National Fuel Gas. Our current contract is expired with, or the last rider expired beginning of October. And they're proposing a change in price. Previously, we were paying a premium of 88 cents per decatherm, and they're proposing a discount of 40 cents per decatherm for the 2-year period of the renewal. That's a pretty substantial change, saving us $1.28 per decatherm, which is roughly 10,000 BTUs.
So, and also I see in here that our gas cost is going to be $1.52 per decatherm, and our most recent yearly average was $3.51 per decatherm. Anybody know what a decatherm is?
It's roughly 10,000 BTUs.
Okay.
There's a percentage, but it's like 2%, so it's,
I guess the bottom line is this is a pretty substantial savings, and we want to lock that in for as long as we can, and they're requesting a 2-year
deal.
2-year deal with us. Okay, is there any questions from the board?
I'll move approval of the contract renewal with National Fuel Resources.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grill?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Communications, Mark?
Nothing.
Brian?
Just have one thing from Ashley Marsteller in Parks and Recreation that she would like the board to approve Nathaniel Schweitzer as a lifeguard. His start date would be November 16th at a rate of $7.65 per hour, and I'll move approval of that hire.
I'll second that request.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
That's it.
I have a couple things from the PD. Permission to appoint Brian Brocious from Millcreek Paramedic Services to the MPD Special Weapons and Tactics Team as a tactical medic. Brocious, who cleared a background check, has passed the required physical agility course and would fill the vacancy created by the departure of Matthew Schaefer. And this also is being recommended by SWAT Commander Kuczynski. And I would recommend approval to appoint Brian Brocious to the MPD SWAT team as a tactical medic.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Public comment? Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Secondly is for permission for the MPD Special Weapons and Tactics Team, along with the Crisis Negotiation Team, to attend a one-day terrorism overview class on November 19, 2015. This will be conducted by the FBI at the Monroeville, PA training facility in Monroeville, PA. There is no registration fee and no overtime compensation will be required, and there will be no travel costs beyond fuel for township vehicles. The scheduling, in terms of the scheduling, the date of the class coincides with the regular SWAT training day. So I would recommend approval for them to attend that training.
Okay, I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. John?
Yes, I got a couple of things here. I'll be real quick with it. One thing I wanted to announce is that LifeWorks, as you know, is our contracted agent for senior services here. They received the 2015 Charles Bracken Excellence in Nonprofit Governance Award. LifeWorks was honored with that there on October 27th. This award is made annually to a nonprofit organization that has demonstrated a sustained commitment to excellence in that governance. LifeWorks received this award because of the vision LifeWorks Board and LECOM Health in merging to ensure the sustainability of important services for LifeWorks that it provides to the community. So I just want to make that known in case it wasn't known throughout the media. One other thing here, I got a couple of things here. This is one of the things that we're very proud of with our township employees. Matthew Exley, who is our fire code official for the Township and Emergency Management Coordinator, was given an award for Municipal Coordinator from the Keystone Emergency Management Association. The Municipal Coordinator Award for Excellence in Emergency Management presented. Of course, we have this, he has this plaque right here that was presented to him over the weekend at their conference in recognition of your constant display of all that is right and good in emergency management by the members and officers of the Keystone Emergency Management Association 2015. So a big shout out for Matt and his continued hard work that he does here for the township in fire code official and fire prevention officer. So hats off to you, Matt. So that's what it looks like right there, folks. There's no need to go through a special presentation for it. Two other things are very quickly. I want to thank, first of all, the democratic process for the vote that we had last week in regard to the study commission. And it is a democratic process. The voters spoke, and there is, at least at this time, not an interest in forming a study commission. So thanks to all those that voted, and that's the way it goes for that. And just one final thought here, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, tomorrow's Veterans Day, and I don't think I have to remind anybody, but thank a vet for the services that they have done to keep our country the greatest nation on earth and keep it free and democratic too. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Evan? There is something that I want to say as representative of the police department. I didn't want to get in front of what the department might be doing, but I think we've heard a lot of news coverage recently about the tragic death in a fire of a 98-year-old resident. The other part of that story is the heroic action that was taken by one of our police officers, Mike Fitzgerald. As it was told to me, the fire was called in prior to fire personnel responding. Fitzgerald was in the area and was at the house as a first responder. He saw inside the residence the gentleman who was a victim. He was lying on the floor in there. Fitzgerald went into the residence without any type of protective gear in order to attempt to rescue this individual. He was driven back the first time by heat and flames and smoke. Not being a quitter, he took his duty jacket, put it over his head, and crawled into the flaming structure. He attempted to pull the victim out by the legs and was unable to do so because of the victim's weight. Fitzgerald shed his jacket, physically picked the individual up, and at which time he was then exposed to flame and smoke, and physically carried him from the building. This is something that the residents can be very proud of with their police department. Mike, I know him personally. He's a very dedicated officer and someone who really views the residents of Millcreek Township as part of his family. He was subsequently relieved from duty for a period of time here. He's still recuperating, but he will be back with us in a short time. I know that the department is planning something with regards to the actions by Patrolman Fitzgerald, but I think the Board of Supervisors just wants to give a shout out to him for displaying the best of the Millcreek Township family and the best of the Millcreek Township Police Department. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have nothing.
Cheryl? Rick? Chuck? Citizens to be heard? Hearing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
I move. Go ahead.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned at 10:29.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.